Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Downtown Activities, and welcome back to our Epic 6 D&D campaign. In the last session, our brave adventurers
they got their asses handed to
delved
them.
into the mysterious ruins beneath a village in an attempt to find out what had happened to the villagers. And then we very nearly just headed into the campaign. The heroic priest of the Celtic god of life and death managed to barely win out the day.
Wolf does not prefer the term priest. He prefers the term dwarf. He is not a priest. He is a dwarf.
Here.
Yes, but he's a priest of the dwarves. Never mind. So we have two unconscious team members. Who will be unconscious for some time. You guys are all still down in the ruin, but it seems once again quiet as the grave. So, if you want to just stay here for the 4 hours that it will take you to wake up, you can. Or,
probably.
Can I do like a scout hit? Can I go down the stairs at the one that I hit came
Sure.
up? Just go check it out.
You just like
They're
lean us up against the wall.
Well, yeah, because I did that so I could prop up the body somewhere else to burn them. So.
You will going farther down and sort of once again passing that like break in the like well wall. The level below that is pretty well filled with water. You can kind of move through it, but it's fairly deep. And you will find quite a few bodies of Tabaxi, which have been dragged down here and essentially just left to rot in the water. And they all seem recent, within the past couple of days.
I'm gonna pull them off, like, to do my duties as a servant of the life and death god. And
Okay.
kind of just, sana, say good thing. And then,
Okay, they are like soaked through.
so it'll take a minute.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I got time.
Some mush.
La.
It's like a
Their
microwave.
fur blowing.
Like a hairdryer.
They're dead, damn it! It's not funny.
Yeah, these innocent villagers.
Was there anything else down there of
There's
importance?
Everyone whose
there doesn't
village
seem to be
is
anything
alive,
like
raise your hand.
wise.
Not so fast there, Tabaxi.
It seems like these things were sort of like all these Tabaxi were like killed, dragged down the well, and then their bodies were just like some of them had been like gnawed on, but most of them were just like left to rot.
Any distinct? Was there anything distinct about? Was it clear that these things?
These look like the villagers, and
No, but was it clear that the zombies, sort of the creatures that we fought, were what killed them?
it seems pretty obvious. Yes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go back up the stairs and check out the other stairwell, I guess, because we've.
Okay. The other stairwell. It seems like there's kind of a stairwell at either end of these hallways, and they essentially run the exact same route. It's just like in some places, one or the other of them is impassable due to like rubble and just the age of the place.
So if I go to the other staircase, am I able to go down?
No,
Or is
yeah,
that
it's
what
the same
it
thing. It's you'll hit the point where it's just flooded and you can't go any farther.
So right now we think the function of this place is there's a stairwell on both sides and there's multiple levels, but some of them are just
blocked at one.
strategically
Yeah,
blocked.
at one. Like it seems like it's just from the age of this place, and like Majid mentioned, occasional earthquakes. It seems like that's like collapsed some rooms or certain hallways and stairwells and stuff in this place.
Would we think an earthquake is the thing that triggered this opening for the last one?
It seems reasonable. It doesn't look like tools were used or anything like that.
Yeah, I'll just go up the stairs, and if they're past it, we'll just kind of see. Or is that where we came, was those stairs?
You guys have kind of explored both staircases a little bit at this point.
Alright.
I mean, technically, if you wanted to, you could tell Majid this town no longer has problems besides earthquakes and now no water.
Besides earthquakes and no villagers.
This village is great, except for the fact that it's everyone inside of it died.
It's going to become an abandoned village. Guarantee it. Nobody's going to want to come here.
Well, if you fix it up, we could technically have a really shitty stronghold.
Yeah.
I don't. What do we defend? Like, no one would be able to remove us from this hole in the ground that's inconvenient to get to. Okay, stay down there then.
Alright, I guess now that I've kind of just explored everything that I can, I'm just going to wait for him to wake up.
We could tell like any rebels about it, and that could be a good place to like hide out.
It's true. They might have to fix it up a shit ton.
You guys will wake up about 5 in the morning.
No, well, that wasn't fun.
It smells worse in here than you remember.
Look who finally decided to wake up.
Did you shit while we were on? What is that smell?
The smell of burning corpses.
Well, that's pungent. That's kind of gross.
Well, there was a lot of them. FYI, too, I found out what happened to the villagers. They've been given a proper send-off. But alas, no survivors.
What was further down?
Well, I found where the water went. And it looks like that's also where the villagers went. It looks like they were just dragged down there left to rot and probably eventually become one of these things.
I wonder how these things became what they are in this place. Well,
I just like the idea of leaning up against the wall and just kicking back, waiting. Oh, my batch is probably done at the horses. There's been enough time. Gotta get back.
let's maybe look through the water on the bottom level. Just make sure there's nothing below the water that's worthwhile.
I gave it a look over. There was really nothing.
There's nothing there besides corpses, I assume, if we go down and
Yeah.
slosh through.
You think you could, through like one of the 2 staircases, swim down to another lower level if you wanted?
I trust in my ability to swim. I will not be doing that. That's big no-nos. That's like, those staircases are like 30 feet between floors, right? Something like that.
20 or 30
20 or 30 feet. Swimming down that into a room, looking through it and coming back up, that's sketchy.
You're fine if there's an air pocket.
Big
What do
if.
you think this is? A game?
So what I'll do is I'll get canoe and put it over my head and create an air
An
pocket.
excellent idea, except how would you get the canoe down these spiral staircases?
Supposing it's a really small canoe
What if I get a bucket over my head?
Bucket
with a second bucket underneath it. Like that
You
one
never
dude.
expect the second bucket.
No one expects a second bucket. In one of those armories, I know everything's rusted to shit and useless.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like old scraps of armor or anything like that? Chain or something?
Very little. Nothing.
Nothing like wearable.
Nothing usable.
Nothing usable. I would like to take a scrap of the chain.
Okay.
Is there on the armor? I know everything's rusted and kind of not usable, but is there a way to kind of see if there's like a symbol to them so we know? Because I'm just curious.
They
whose
all
fortress this
share
is.
a common design, but it's not necessarily anything you recognize, and there's not necessarily a remaining insignia on anything here.
Okay.
It seems like, especially with like, obviously the amount of groundwater here, and the fact that like, obviously the well has had water in it for who knows how long, and the lower levels of this place have probably had water in them for who knows how long. It was just kind of too dank here, I guess, for anything to survive.
Well, I reckon we've solved what happened to the town, and we've dealt with the problem accordingly.
I suppose so.
Time to get out of here.
Yep. Technically, town's safe to sleep in for the rest of our break.
Hopefully.
And
Well, hopefully, Reggie probably is taken off. We've been gone for quite some time now.
Hopefully he waited for us, but we'll find out. Just gonna make sure our horses are okay.
Ooh, some cellar.
Does this look infected? Those teeth can't have been clean.
So, you'll be fine. Smack the flesh wound.
If you can reach.
I'll have to do a jump, but I'm gonna...
You're intentionally going out of your way to reach high enough to injure me.
It's
you
like a
bastard.
kid trying to hit the top of a door frame.
Yes.
At least not slapping the butt.
There is that. There is that.
So you guys are just taking the cellar exit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can emerge into the basement cellar of some Tabaxi's house.
Don't forget my rope, please, and your rope.
Yeah, no, we'll go back through and
Okay.
go through this guy's house.
As you emerge out into the streets, the sun is just beginning to come up over the horizon.
I don't really feel well rested.
I don't really feel
I feel
well.
great.
Alcohol is amazing, isn't it?
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, we'll go back and we'll pull the rope up, untie, give him his portion, take mine, and I grab one hook and put it all back into its position on the pack.
I gotta whistle to the horse. So, start checking.
The horses are still there.
That's good.
Is my batch ready? Of beer ready yet?
It's definitely fermented.
That's good enough for me!
Man, that smells like those burning corpses. What are you brewing in there?
Oh, it's a special concoction. Just you wait, it'll be great.
It's gonna give you alcohol. It's gonna be straight poison.
Beware, they coat their axes in poison, said the rogue. Ha! I'm immune to poison, said the mage. But somehow, the axes worked anyway.
Ha! I'm immune to axes.
Yeah.
But somehow the poison worked anyway.
There's a few truths to that.
Barbarians.
Yeah.
Non-totem, bear totem barbarians.
Yeah.
Well, shall we go see if we can catch up with Benji?
Let's go catch up to that caravan. Oh, God.
City's
Clamber up
too
onto my
far off,
horse.
I
right?
think they said
About
Like a
or
mile
so
up road.
Yeah, no, it was a mile back down the road,
Oh,
back the way you guys came. Majid didn't want to risk, passing through the village in the dark.
Gotcha.
Who knows? They might be on their way back as we come out of the finish.
We'll see. Hopefully they waited for us. They probably just made camp and slept. Unlike us idiots. Speaking of, hey, we should tie the horses up to a wagon and get some shut-eye.
I'll second that.
You guys.
I mean, I'm the only one who actually was able to sleep.
Heading sort of a mile back up the road, you will run into a caravan breaking camp. Majid kind of comes running as you guys approach on horseback. Since he's small, it's adorable.
Would you?
Now that's insulting.
That's offensive.
But he seems quite overjoyed to see you all a little worse for wear, but at the very least alive.
I don't know what you're talking about. I feel great.
I am worse for wear.
They are worse for wear.
I'm worse.
Majid, we solved the problem.
You look terrible. What happened?
We encountered the undead beneath the city. The well is run, underneath the city, and there are no survivors from the village.
Leading theory is that what you said about an earthquake probably cracked open that well, but also opened up part of the tomb for them to reach up and attack these villagers.
And the villagers barricaded themselves in what they thought was a safe building, only to find that it too had a pathway for these monsters to get to them.
There are a lot of ruins in the desert, and quite often, if a place was good enough for somebody to build a village or city, even if that city falls, somebody else builds on top of it. That's a terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
They've all been given a proper send off.
And now I would like a proper day's sleep. Is there a wagon I can lay down in?
There's a wagon you kind of lay down on. The
Here,
wagons
here.
are pretty like.
Yeah.
Take my like little shawl thing off and just cover my face with
Put
it.
us face plant into the sand.
Just tie a rope to your foot, it gets dragged in the sand as you're sleeping.
Sounds terrible. Yeah, you guys can. The wagons will load up, and it's kind of a somber experience passing through
What's left?
the village. But like nobody really says a word as this sort of as the 5 wagons sort of pass through the village and continue on.
If we're able to get a rest, then from there we'll get back out and do normal lineup of guarding this caravan.
Will that count as long rest if we're able to get?
Excuse me.
Yeah, you can take a long rest.
Yay!
And it's like you guys have another week or so of travel. So
Huzzah! Mush for all my men.
Yeah, there was much.
I sold my horse.
I sold my horse. Lightning.
Repel. Fear. No.
The greatest wizard duel of all time. You know, battle of breeding and an elephant.
That's very good.
You like it ends up kind of being the same thing. You again are going to sort of be regular passing travelers, caravans, and occasional military patrols heading towards Manatum. Majid kind of makes a point of stopping anybody heading that direction and like kind of passing the word along about the village, even with like the military patrols. And you guys will travel for another week before you, in a fairly fertile valley for the desert. It has a relatively large river, not large, not like the Barhat River back where you're from.
Gotcha.
There aren't like huge boats sailing up and down it, but it's at least a large enough river that there's a lot of farmland, orchards and vineyards and stuff like that, kind of on both sides of the river. And villages and stuff for quite a distance in both directions. And the city of Manatum itself is a large, walled city. It's very clearly sort of Tabaxi in style. It's a lot of spires and domes. The wall itself around the city is massive, but it has been hung with Curian standards and banners. And there seem to be some construction projects underway, both within and without of this city as you approach. And you would know that this is sort of the provincial capital of the Siduri province that you guys are in. And like there's not a ton of like battle scarring to the city. There's some, but it doesn't look like the Curians had to like tear down half the city in order to take it. There was definitely fighting here, and you guys will pass some abandoned farms and burn down buildings and stuff kind of on the approach, but it doesn't look like the city suffered too terribly in the war. And there are a lot of Curian soldiers coming in and out of this city.
All right. I'll ask Majid. So where are we heading in here?
Once we're inside, and I assume they'll search the wagons again on the way through the gate, we'll be, I believe, Lilith, the Tabaxi who's buying all this, I think she has a warehouse here, or it's renting a warehouse, I'm not entirely sure.
Gotcha.
We'll head there, and it should all be pretty quick and easy.
Eyes open, I guess.
Always have my eyes open.
I was gonna say sober, but well, that's fine.
Even when you sleep?
Yes.
It's like Gandalf, he's sleeping with his eyes open.
But what? We're in the desert. What if a gust of wind blew sand into your eyes?
I don't know. If I had that problem.
Fair enough.
Alright.
Cannon, you sleep with your eyes open there. That's hilarious. Awesome.
But Sam gets yours. I don't know. I'm asleep when it happens.
If it does, I haven't noticed.
I haven't noticed it. I'm over here.
How are you?
As you guys sort of approach the gates of the city, you are the caravan is asked to like essentially pull off of the road to the side of the gate. A soldier kind of like a watch officer kind of steps out. Just sort of sticks a hand up in the air to get you all to stop and says, by order of Provincial Governor Nonus Cassidius Papinian and General Junia Sebastiana, we're to search all wagons coming into the city for arms and armor.
Conceded opinion?
I'll say.
He doesn't seem to notice.
By all means.
I mean, we have no say. Like,
We don't get to stop this.
You
This
can
is
always
Meji's-
ask him, are you going to load it back up this time?
This is Meji's job. Like, we're just the muscle.
So there's a couple of soldiers. They're not necessarily like completely taking apart the wagons, but it is a fairly thorough search.
The wheels off the axles.
Now put it back together.
They've got
These axles are made of hand axes.
axles.
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 Mm.
Hand axes.
But just
Aha!
we'll just bring in the arming up a revolution sniffing dog. If, you don't mind.
Just stares at you.
Am I being contained?
It's just a naked person who rolls around on stuff until they get cut by something and then pointed out.
Weapon. It's a weapon.
That's a weapon.
I got cut on
That hurt.
something.
Ow, that hurt. Yep, that one got me.
Oh, I have been impaled.
That was 1d4 slashing damage. Clearly, this is a weapon. And while the soldiers kind of searching the wagon, the officer's kind of like he's going to each of the drivers. He's going to like Majid. He's going to each of the guards, and it's like just like asking just kind of a couple of basic questions, mostly about just like where people are from. Seems like just trying to get the measure of everybody.
Probably.
He's kind of coming down the line.
Yeah.
We haven't had to lie yet.
I don't tell the full truth. They ask me, I say that I am Tertius and originally from Themis. Is that it? I don't say my last name, but I say Tertius of Themis.
Nah, provincial capital.
Indeed. Just an adventurer looking to make some money in the desert.
Fair enough. What about you, Kenra?
Are you also looking at the map right now? So my name's Asim. I'm from Naphtha. Just hired hand.
And I take you for a dwarf.
You think, right?
Priest of the door. No,
You're
dwarf of the door.
all the way up from Keltani then.
So I've been told. I was born a slave in Numaria.
Roll me a deception check.
This is gonna be fun. 'Cause I am. Ha! That is an 8.
There's an 8. He gives you a look of like, yeah, fucking right, but he doesn't like, and he's like he has a parchment scroll and he's kind of like noting stuff.
I
down.
probably even though I'm kind of oblivious to the fact that he just lied, I'm going to be like, we saved him some weeks ago from a caravan of slavers. Joined up with us then.
You can just give me a persuasion check, I
Okay.
guess, because you're not lying.
I'm not lying. 19.
19. He kind of he's just like sizing both of you up and just kind of like making notes, but he doesn't like press any further than that. And as soon as the caravan has been searched and is all loaded up, and they don't like have any issue with personal weapons, like the fact that like you guys are like armed and armored. They seem to
Supply
just be looking for like shipments
Supplies.
of
Ghosts.
arms and armor.
They should fear us. We'll tear this whole city down.
Correction, they should be on me.
They should fear us. Unless they kill you first, then they don't need to worry about us anymore, because you won't be able to save our asses.
And they'll wave the caravan into the city.
Did they reload all the shit back onto the
Well,
car?
they didn't like unload it all.
Okay.
You don't have to like spend half a day out here repacking all the wagons.
Huzzah.
Hooray. To teach the other guys how to do that shit.
Just riding along, mumbling to myself as a companion. Asking me a terrorist, asking me where I'm from. They're my business. They're my business.
You're from a part of the world where they're not in charge, so you're like, particularly like, fuck these guys, they don't own shit.
You got real sovereign citizen energy.
Yeah. My business, my lord.
BSCE, Big Sovereign Citizen Energy.
Like, and it's clear once you're like kind of in the city that like Majid doesn't know exactly where he's going, but he knows the city well enough to kind of like
Navigate it.
navigate it and kind of find the right place. It's a bustling city. The vast majority of people here are Tabaxi. There are some Kenra, there are some elves, and there are some humans.
Remind me, I forgot to do the shadow thing for literally all of my attack rolls, ability checks, and everything for the last episode.
That's fine. You didn't need it.
Well, we didn't really have shadows either.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah, we were in the
Oh,
dark.
well, no, they cast light on you. Or he cast light on you, so you had a shadow.
It just impacts.
If he's
Right.
his own person, where does he go when you don't have a shadow?
The shadow realm.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yuki, they put me in the shadow realm.
That creepy guy with the long hair and missing eye stole my fucking soul, Yugi. This is the actual plot of this show about trading cards. Anyway,
You think a TV show just designed to sell goods would have come up with something more sensible?
less sinister than
The soul.
Egyptians stealing souls, Yugi. So we'll just go with Majid and help him. Yeah, make sure he doesn't get robbed trying to sell this shit.
Yeah.
So like Majid will take you to like it's kind of it's not quite a warehouse district, but it is in kind of a less it's definitely a like less mercantile and less like residential sort of section of the city. Parts of the city have clearly seen some damage from fire or from fighting. But overall, the city seems to be in decent shape, and most people are just going about their business. A lot of cases in a lot of cases, for the common man who's what empire they're a part of ultimately doesn't matter that much. So a lot of people are just kind of like going about their business. You see a lot of Curian soldiers on patrol, and fairly often you see anti-Curian propaganda painted on walls, or somebody's scratched it into bricks in the street or something like that.
I don't know it's anti-Curian because I can't fucking read whatever their language is.
A lot of it is written in sort of
The
sloppy
common tongue?
Curian. It's like Curians go home, but it's like
Curians
conjugated
ga
a little bit badly, and
Curiansons go home.
Curians ga hame.
Yeah.
What could this mean?
Perhaps that's the name of their leader, Gahaim.
But Majid will take you to a warehouse. And the wagons just kind of have to like stop outside, and he hops off, go back in, and like heads in through a door. And we'll come back a few minutes later with another Tabaxi, dressed in kind of desert robes, a lot less finery than Majid, and her fur is like pure white. And she like like, and they kind of come up to the wagons, and Majid said, it's like this is Lilith. She's the one taking the shipment off our hands. Lilith, this is Wolf, Azim, and Tertius. They're my 3 most capable guards.
Other guys in the back.
Hey! They didn't help us go almost die in an underground pit. And I'll just give like a respectful bow.
Cheers.
Majid tells me you had some adventures on your way up from Latifa.
Certainly, yes.
Definitely say that.
Underground ruin full of undead.
It's a lot of stuff seems stirred up worse than it used to be with all the fighting.
War does tend to bring out the worst in the world.
True. We'll get the doors open and the wagons inside. You're all welcome to come inside for a bit, and I'd be happy to hear all about your travels and what's going on elsewhere in the Empire.
You'd probably have the most interesting stories for her.
What's that supposed to mean?
You've traveled the furthest.
Fair enough.
Yeah, go inside and drink tea and
Well, no, they drink.
she seems to have kind of like people with her that are like helping unload the wagons and
No,
get everything.
the agency. I'm drinking my
Your viscous brew.
Yeah, and she's like happy to listen to any and all gossip about the things going on in the world. Things going on in the
If I'm talking about Iara at all, I'm just saying about how it's much the same as it's been for a couple hundred years now. Under the control of the Empire and docile.
I've got some rumors that there's a Curian, the human governor, in Iara now.
I don't hide this. You just see like a super sour look go across Tertius's face. He's just like, yes, that is a fairly recent change.
I'm sure you must have more details than that. How do the locals feel about him?
Well, I can tell you the people in my hometown, Themis, where he now resides, don't think too highly of him. Certainly not.
Right, I was thinking low of a different race.
Don't get this elven superiority talk started. We're old, and we're haughty sometimes. Don't get me wrong, but those...
No, I won't disagree. I, for one, I feel the same way about this empire. But it is I just think it's very ironic,
The Empire bothered me very little most of my time growing up. More recently, individuals like Marcellus Sorix is a bit harder to ignore. It's a big part of my decision to sail out here and adventure a little further from home.
On the run from something, then.
Well, I wouldn't say the run. I'm just... I don't think anyone's chasing after me or anything. I'm just,
Adventuring.
Marcellus displaced a lot of people when he decided to take charge there, and I'm somebody who felt a little constricted in my once more comfortable home.
Give me insight checks. I'm not gonna have Majid roll one because he's Majid.
And 11.
11?
7.
7?
8?
8?
I'm blinded by my fury right now. I don't notice shit.
Nobody notices shit.
Like, what do you think of the provincial government here?
Well, they're unpopular, of course.
Clearly. I've seen some strong words written on the walls.
Can you?
Yes, and half the people writing them can't spell, which I suppose I appreciate. If they're gonna write them in the invaders' language, they might as well spell it wrong. Siduri's been quiet for the most part. The province farther north is where a lot more fighting is going on. Papinian, the governor, not a extremely popular man, spends most of his time partying in one of the old palaces here. As far as I can tell, most of the generals can't stand him either, which is another problem. If I'd advise heading too much farther north, like I said, with all the fighting up north. At least one of the at least one of the generals, you might have heard her name thrown around, Junia Sebastiana, general of the 6th and 12th legions.
Which one's my brother?
7th, I believe.
7th, right?
Supposedly she's got some ambitions for the throne herself, which is certainly not helping any of the stability of the area.
The throne of the governance here, or the throne of the empire?
Which one would you think?
Bold to move if it's for the empire itself.
Empires have a long history of generals or soldiers of generals deciding that they know better who should be in charge.
Well, I can say that the current emperor seems... Well, from the stories, grant them Curian stories of past ones, he doesn't seem like the regular chip off the old block.
I've never met the man, but I've heard he's unpopular. But
Who isn't unpopular within the empire nowadays?
could always be propaganda, I suppose, though I like to think I'm pretty good at sorting out propaganda and truth. Everybody give me another insight.
That felt targeted. Crit.
That is another 11.
A crit for a 21.
15. Both of you can tell that like Lilith is pretty, like, she's good, especially with Majid, at like really getting him to spill a lot of details about the things that he's seen in Natifa and in his travels up around here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's pretty casual, but it's like, and you kind of notice this, like, even when she's kind of questioning, like, you guys, of like, she can like tell when somebody has something else to say, and she's digging for information constantly.
Like, is there a question that you're not asking us directly that we could help give you an answer to?
Especially if you don't care.
I have lots of questions, but most of them you probably won't have answers to. It's wise for merchants to pay attention to what's going on in the world.
Especially in their corner of the world. Do you want to try some of those questions on? See what we can tell you? I have a hard time. Politics has never been a strong game for me. I'd like to think of myself as well-spoken, but I lack the agility in conversation that you have.
Unless you can tell me about, well, to be frank, specific troop movements where Curia's massing soldiers, which routes are open, which discrete routes remain discrete, the locations of important officials or important supply lines within the ranks of the Curian army. Like I said, I don't really think you'll have all that many answers to my questions.
What are your go-between a rebellion who's going against the Curian Empire?
I work with rebellions occasionally.
Very specific questions, just
You
want to
want
know.
to tell her about a new town that just opened up?
I mean, if you're looking for somewhere to stow things, perhaps there is a town now abandoned where we found this, and there is an underground network there that has quite a few rooms of storage.
Would need to be cleared out, or at least stones and stuff moved. But...
Dead bodies.
No, I burned
away
those, so there's shit that's only ash at this point.
I wouldn't necessarily have use for it myself, but I might know people who would. But you see, none of you seem particularly fond of the Curians. What the Curians don't quite understand is that they spend a lot of time looking for anyone arming rebellions, rebel armies, rebel soldiers. The Rahani have no intention of retaking these cities through the use of rebellions. For the most part, all we need to do is sow discord where we can, hold the line, and this empire will burn itself to the ground anyway.
Sounds like it.
They just need a helping hand in one direction or another.
And I take it you're someone who helps coordinating helping hands.
One of many.
Well, if it destabilizes the Curian presence in this neck of the sea, I think so long as Majid doesn't have further use of me, I wouldn't mind getting involved. Have some aspirations of my own that meeting people here could be very helpful.
Well, I'll be using this shipment as cover to travel back into Raha, likely as far as the capital. You're welcome to accompany me. My uncle might have some more specific work for you. Or if you're interested in staying here, I might be able to set something up for you.
I don't care either way. I'm just going along for the ride at this point.
Your uncle fairly influential? Your uncle fairly influential?
Uncle,
It's not just
the whole Pastar family is influential.
It's not just you with a mustache, right?
Oh, I am somebody
I would
else
look
now.
terrible with a mustache.
I wouldn't mind meeting him. And I think it makes sense. We saw the shipment this far. We could see it a little further.
Yeah. I have nothing better to do. My obligations elsewhere. Have some time.
Most of the big changes in my life have happened in the last few months. That's only since meeting you, so either die or I continue to do crazy stuff.
The gods have a plan. This much I'm sure.
I think they do. I'm worried as to what it is, though.
One thing about elves. Old, haughty, whatever you want to call them. The gods, be it yours, mine, or otherwise, are here. They are active. And they like stories with heroes.
And
They don't always end well for the heroes.
Right? Mine like to kill a lot of heroes, yes.
But for some, they're memorable at the very least.
it depends on what type of mood my guy is in.
We're a great bunch, aren't we?
You said your name was Tertius?
Tertius.
I don't think I caught the last name.
You're not right.
Like, I feel like you've been straightforward with us, so honesty can be returned. My name is Tertius Praxis, and Marcellus Sorix, that we spoke of earlier, is currently sitting his fat ass in my family home.
I think maybe my uncle would be interested in meeting you as well.
Then I'm in.
Once
Wait,
again,
are you a prince?
Prince is a strong word for what I am.
he's like a duke.
I'm the second son of a traditional ARN noble family that has no real sway or power anymore now the Curians
That
run
went
our
right
lands.
over my head. Nice. Alright.
Well, I'm glad I've been able to lead a ruse this far. My family was displaced from our home so that this provincial governor could take it from me. My older brother, the one more in line to take up, inherit, not that there's much of a throne to take up in my family, is a legionnaire now, commander, and has been involved in some big conflicts. I haven't seen him in many years. My parents disagree with the movements being made in our homeland and have suffered some consequences of that.
Interesting. Now I know why you don't say your last name.
Surprise! The elf is the big shot.
Most outside of Yara aren't going to know the name, and I think even most nobility within Curia probably wouldn't, but I can understand the hesitation or the desire to use a name that may not be your own.
Anyone who will recognize it will either pity or hate me, and I want neither.
Fair enough.
It's alright. I already pity you, elf. But that's just because you're an elf.
Majid, who's only been half paying attention to the whole conversation, is just like, I like you.
Thank you, Majid. I owe you one. You dragged my ass out of a bad situation.
Yeah, we'll call it the life debt paid on that.
Fair enough. We'll call it all good and square. I'd prefer if this name, whether it matters or not, is not thrown around willy-nilly with others.
I've
Alright,
already
I
forgotten
what it is.
That's what I was about to say. I've already forgotten.
Well, at the very least, you are all welcome to travel to Banaz in the caravan of Lilith Pastar. Should be... technically, caravans aren't supposed to cross the border, but every guard can be paid off, and the Tabaxi certainly won't stop us.
When are you planning to leave?
Another couple of days. Like to
Rest time.
collect what information I can in the city.
Well, then we'll,
Her name is Lilith.
Lilith Pastar. P-A-S-D-A-R. Lilith is spelled how you would expect.
Thank you.
alright.
And Majid will give each of you 50 gold. For
Here, here.
your,
Our valiant
for your
breeder.
wages and, yes, your valiant bravery.
I'm gonna walk up to Lilith here, ask to speak in private, or in a more secluded area.
Okay.
So you seem like you know how to get information on things.
It's part of what I do.
What would it take? Do you have, or by chance, do you have any information as to what the situation is like over on the border by Lorland?
I haven't heard of any changes. As far as I know, the Curians don't dare go north of the wall, though it's hardly safe south of it. The dwarves have plenty of agents trying to incite the halflings into rebelling.
Yeah,
And
halflings. Get them to rebel. How about this?
well, it seems they're not all that much happier with the imperial yoke than your people are. And the only other thing that I hear consistently, it's a long way away, is after all, something about a war chief from the dwarves, turning into something of a boogeyman for the Curians.
You have a name for the war chief?
Gales from the Black Hair.
Of course.
Half the Curians think he doesn't exist. The other half are certain he's going to cross the wall any day with an army and push all of them out of the islands.
Cross the wall, maybe. With an army? I don't think so.
Sounds like I said, it's hard to get news of that down here, but from what I can tell, a lot of people are thinking he might be the first one actually capable of uniting them. You would know better than I would how about the dwarf tribes, but
Debatable. Coercing through commonality versus probably through fear. Two different things.
Fear can be very powerful.
well,
It is very powerful.
as far as I'm concerned, if it pushes the Curians out of another stolen piece of their empire, I don't necessarily care about the methods they use.
Fair enough. I'll leave it at that.
And I think we'll probably attack that.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a decent place
a
to
little,
stop.
a little bit shorter of an episode.
You
but,
know him.
You guys are once again guards for a merchant caravan.
We're following a trope.
It's only the third time a couple of you have done this.
It's
Good
worked
work.
out so far.
You guys have made a new contact. And are sort of trying to get in on the ground floor of fighting the Curians, it sounds like. So the next episode we'll
Fight some Curians.
we'll see what happens as you guys sort of head out into another piece of the world. You guys really bounce around the map.
Yeah.
It's all kind of the same region, but
We're trailblazing.
I'm just gonna make one big circle.
never stop in one place for long.
Probably better.
Staying on a moon isn't a bad idea.
Thank you everybody so much for watching. An episode with a lot of talking and no combat, but that's fine.
The last episode
After what
had it
happened
up.
with the last episode, maybe an episode without combat's a good thing.
Give us a break.
Nice respite.
We will see you all in the next episode. Thank you all for watching.